Good morning, my young potato chips. How are you this morning? It's wee Paddy from across the shuck. And this is an open tag video that I hope a lot of people will take part in. And this is open tag for my subs as well as fellow YouTubers. And I suppose it's a subject that's not talked about too much. But for me, it's the longer I go on at doing this, um, the more this becomes part of my knife hobby, and the more it invokes the meaning of this video. And the meaning of this video, I know you've seen the title and I just waffle on, but there we go. It's knives that evoke emotions. Now, I'm not here for sob stories, so that's not what it's going to be about. It's going to be about knives that when you handle them or hold them, that they evoke some sort of emotion, much like music does in our lives. We'll hear songs and it'll take us back to a certain date. Knives, maybe for a lot of us, don't go back that far. But I suppose, yeah, some people will have their boyhood knives. I don't have any of my boyhood knives. And to get a replica would not be that emotional contact. So I'm talking about knives that we have in our possession now. And I'm talking about what is, this is a part of the collecting. This is a part of the love of knives that is so important, but yet really not talked about that much. Some people will talk about a particular knife. What I've done, I picked half a dozen that set off emotions when I picked these knives up and used them, or ones like these. They set up that thought process in your head of good times, bad times, sad times, happy times, different times in your life when you were doing different things. And I suppose as you get older, you get more and more knives that mean something along them lines. So probably one of my oldest knives is this Opinel number 6 carbon. It's a battered and bruised old knife. I have had this for years upon years. It was lovely, bright yellow handle, or not handle, but a beech handle. So it's been used. I've modified it just recently for a nail neck to pull it out. But this knife sets me back to when I done bushcraft, and I was a loner bushcrafter. I didn't, not that I didn't mix, there was nobody around me, especially at my age, that sort of done it. So I would have just taken a tarp, a hammock, a bag full of goody stuff, and gone into the woods, camped overnight, done a bit of cooking, made some furniture for camp furniture, and videoed it. So that was my passion before I get into knives. But I suppose as we get older and gone out in wet, rainy nights, I used to go out and test my gear in monsoons and video it. So as I've got older, I really don't want to do that anymore. I've got a caravan, so I use it. But this knife, when I think of this, it takes me back to one of the hobbies in my past that I thoroughly enjoyed. And everybody around me thought I was nuts going up into the forest, whether it was hail, rain or snow, and camping overnight. So it sets off a memory of them good times when you had time. This was a time when I had time to think, which is for me not always a great thing, but most of the time when I was bushcrafting, it was a good time, a happy time. So we'll set that over there. That's the first knife. The next knife is a relatively new knife to me, but it's the sort of knife. Here it is. This is over 100-year old. It's the sort of knife that sets off my hobby emotions. That when this knife was used, people didn't buy knife for hobbies. Now, this would have been a really posh knife. So this was a knife that was used for your stature, for who you were, and you'd have pulled this out and cut something at a dinner table or around a work office, and people would have admired your knife. And a lot of my knives are like that. But this is something that's over 100-year-olds, the history behind this knife. And when I pick old knives up, which I'm getting more and more into, I have a couple to show you coming up, some beauties, but this is probably one of the older knives that I have. And it just, I'm trying to think, I can't read that. This is the Needham Brothers knife from Sheffield. When I get them, it really takes me back. And I try to think back of the owners of this knife, whether it was one or many, but what their lives were like. And it just, again, it's setting off a thought process. It invokes an emotion, an emotional attachment to knives. Although, I'll never know who owned it, but I can think back to what it must have been like in the days when this was a well-loved and used knife, and it must have been. It is absolutely stunning. Number two. Number three is an emotional. This is very much more to do with modern collecting. And this is this knife here. And this knife for this morning is just a representation of knives that I've been gifted. This came from Jason Guilfoyle with a box load of knives. And it came when my depression was just getting bad. And I really haven't communicated enough with Jason, which I have to rectify. But he sent the most beautiful gift of knives to the channel. This is an Archeo, an artisan Archeo, the small, and it is a stunning piece of work. It is a beautiful little knife. And so for Jason and all the other people, I have had so many gifts that I could never repay the gratitude that I have for the people who have helped the channel. And Jason and the likes of Tony Meador, Jeff Jewell, all those people, and I know I'm not going to get all the names out, and I apologize, but every single one of you that has sent me a knife, I truly, truly appreciate it. And when I pick one of your knives up and I'm using it, that emotion is invoked again, and I do feel gratitude, as I should do, because I have been blessed. And the next night is when you start to get into knives and you're collecting knives for a while, and then you start to get some of your grails. We all start off with one grail, and mine was a 940. I got it. And like everybody said, once you get one, you'll go to the other. That's still my original. And that when I picked that 940 up, that is my original grail and always will be. But I've gone on to different things that I want. I got this one just last week, and this is one of my grail pocket knives. And I'm saying one of them because it is just one of them. But when I get this in hand, it's a very simple, a very small knife. So well made. It's a Northwoods, but I'd always wanted one. And over here in the UK, they really are like hen's teeth. It's so difficult to get them. And as of now, I just want more because these are beautiful. They are just gorgeous. I love this, the micarta on here. Look at that micarta, the depth on it. It's like a basket weave on it, and it really does look like a basket weave. But when you get this, this is gratitude that I'm blessed that I have enough money now to maybe buy knives that I would never have thought I would have got. So I'm blessed for that. And when you get that emotion when you get your grail knife is like a drug. I know that sounds a bit, but it is. It's like a drug. It just keeps your hobby going, because once you get one, you think, oh, there must be a better one than that. I got to go hunting again. And that's the way this drug gets you of knife collecting. But it's a happy drug, and I don't abuse, I don't spend money I don't have on knives. And that's something that you have to remember. Don't try to keep up with the Joneses. Be happy with what you've got. And I was, for a few years in the beginning, happy with what I had, and I thoroughly enjoyed them. But the emotion then was the emotion of meeting new people around the world, doing a video channel. That was the drug. And the knives were sort of nearly secondary then. But now I'm getting a little bit of a history after I've gone on for a while. The emotions keep growing. And here's another one, which I didn't know really until a week ago, or just over a week ago, when I got this. This is a custom-made knife by one man in Poland. There's his name there, Herman, and his knives sell on Polish Custom Knives, but Herman Knives. This is a amazing piece of CNC work, hand finishing. It's just delicious. That's the only word I can say. Look at this. This is a £600 knife. And look, sadly, this is what I'm going to say. This is worth every penny of the £600 that you would buy to do it. I'm going to be doing a review soon. I've been doing cutting tests. I've been cutting cardboard. I've been cutting carpets. I've been cutting wood with this knife. And look at it. You would hardly see a mark on it. Now, I have videos of me doing that. You can see some of the slight marks, but very little. This is a hard-wearing EDC knife, and I know it's £600, but this was sent to me for free to review. So the emotion I get from this is my wee channel's doing all right. I know I don't have the most up-to-date knives all the time, but my wee channel's doing all right for the subscribers that I have and who are just amazing. They put up with my mad antics, my over-the-top rants sometimes. But I do have a love of knives, and I do love the interaction that I've had with my subs. And I don't get to answer them all now. Between private messaging and whatever, I can't keep up all the time. But when you get a heart from me, it's like I say, when you get a heart in that description below where you write your little message, that means I have read and enjoyed reading what you've had to say. I don't always get back, but I do try to keep up as best I can. Now, this has just blown my mind for the quality that I get for that expensive amount of money. Am I going to have a lot of these? No. Is this probably the dearest one I'm going to have? Probably, but I've said that a lot of the times, and it keeps changing. But the thought that somebody or a company or anybody would send me something at £600 to review and then to keep is mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. Because when you start out in this ride, I was on Ganzo's, San Remu's, all the cheaper brands, Kershaw's, CRKT, they were the knives that I was reviewing and loving and still do. But you know what I mean. It's an emotion that it sets in me that, oh, I'm so lucky. And a lot of this is just to do with complete and utter luckiness that I hit the right time, I met the right people, the generosity of other people. It's nothing to do with me, but it's to do with the knives and what they stand for. And I'm going to throw in my last one. And this one, although not I've had this for a couple of years now. Well, probably not a couple of years, probably about a year and a half. And this is the one that sets off more emotion than anything at the moment. And this is this. This is my Hinderer Slippy. This I bought after my father passed away. I was left a little bit of money. And this I bought in memory of him. He wasn't a knife man. I have another little knife of his that I found in a drawer. Stupid old knife. But again, it's the emotion in him. But this is one that I bought to remind myself of him. Now, that may sound as if it wouldn't really mean a lot, but it really does. When I bought this and knowing this was going to be with me till the rest of my life, and every time I picked it up, I wanted happy memories of my father. This has blooming worked. Let me tell you, if you miss a parent or a son or a daughter or any member of your family or an animal, I highly recommend it. No, it doesn't have to be an expensive knife like this, but it just has to be something that when you pick it up, you set that thing in your head. This is going to remind me of a good memory. And when I pick this up, I have good memories of my father. I miss him terribly, and I'm a silly old man, but I still miss him. And this knife has really, really helped in that process. I can't explain it. I have no explanation for it, but it really does work. So there's my 6 knives. Have I got any plans for any other emotional knives? Yes, I have. But I haven't found the knife yet. And it's my biggest one for me. As you know, I lost a son to suicide, and I still find that very hard to deal with. I don't cope with it well sometimes. Sometimes I cope better than others. But I want to find a knife that will invoke a good memory or a nice thought about my son. Not that I don't have them, but I just haven't got anything that's going to physically I can touch and set off that emotion. I sort of know what it is, but I haven't found it yet. And when I do, I'll certainly let you know, because you're my little knife family. But that's what knives can do. That's the sort of emotions that I want to hear of yours. So anybody take part in the tag. Let me know that you put the video up, and I'll put it in my library on my channel that other people can come and see it. If you're a sub, tell me down below. Now, I might be able to answer it, and I mightn't be able to a lot of them. But if I give you a heart, it means I have read it in full. And other people can come down into the description below, into the comments, and read your messages of knives. And it doesn't matter if it's half a dozen or not. The number doesn't matter. I just done half a dozen. More for YouTube reviewers that they can put knives on the table and it gives you something to talk about while you're doing it. So, I hope you enjoyed this tag. I've really enjoyed doing it. I've enjoyed the thought process all these knives have brought back to me. And gratitude is the biggest one. And sometimes when you feel gratitude, you can be nicer to other people. Strange that, isn't it? Take care, everybody. Paddy's away for a wee cup of tea. Thank you so much for watching. Bye now.